So I lied about something. And I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. I honestly didn't at the time think it was that big of a deal. Now I really have to face those consequences. I seriously feel like I've let everybody down. I only hope that you guys and my family can forgive me. I don't know if there's any coming back from this. So back in the Wasteland weekend videos, I may have said some things. And we're looking forward to doing another build. We're gonna do something else, something different. I'm not gonna tell you and I'm not gonna film it. And I wanna kind of keep it a secret. And yeah, that's just how I'm gonna roll this time with it. Matter of fact, back in the last video before this one, I said some things. We are going to be reusing the engine and other stuff, tires, wheels, for another project. They'll be coming down the line. It's a little bit of a secret, so we're not going to tell you. No, no, no. And, I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm not sappy like that.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
It's dumb. But I did lie about some stuff. It just wasn't anything too crazy like that. So, what I did lie about, though, is that I said that I was going to keep our new Wasteland weekend build a secret. I wasn't going to release the footage and the project until after Wasteland weekend 2024 because I wanted to kind of show up to Wasteland as it being a surprise and not something that is known by anyone. Like, I wanted to like surprise people. But let's freaking be honest. I'm not there yet. We're not there yet. No one's expecting the ETM 540 build. I know a couple people will be, but those couple people already know what it is. What am I thinking? So I'm just gonna lay it out and we're gonna tell you exactly what it is. He knows what the new Wasteland weekend project is.
Yeah.
You do know? Okay. I was like, well, maybe he didn't know. And the thing of it is, in the last video, we talked about this being for a secret project. And Harry, you want to tell them what that secret project is?
The sprint car.
That's right. So the plan is to take that Honda 1982 185S ATC engine and plant it in that big old biscuit. What we're gonna end up having to do is do a lot of modifications of stuff. Kind of, but not really. But I know he's looking forward to it. So there's already everything we need on this thing. So, and to tell you the truth, we had thought about rebuilding it back to kind of like its racing glory days of utilizing the exact, wheels and tires and putting the 650cc Suzuki engine and all that good stuff in this thing. But where in the hell are we gonna run it? I mean, seriously. So what we decided is that it would actually be a perfect candidate for a Wasteland weekend vehicle. And that's mainly because of the fact that it's already built. It's already got everything we need for the most part. The modifications that need to be done are not going to be too crazy. We are going to do some really cool stuff to it, don't get me wrong, especially because we want to be able to, haul people around. We do want to put a reverse gear on it, which the engine doesn't have, so we need to do a reverse box, all that stuff. And then, obviously, wasting it out, making it look crazy. We're still kind of deciding names. I was talking with Seth Zilla, and we were talking about naming it the Wasteland Racer, just because this can be a source for people who need gas or bullets or anything in a hurry, and we have the service to get it fast for them. So it's the Wasteland Racer. And obviously she's gonna need, some stuff that's gonna be wasted out a little bit more, but honestly, I'm really excited for it. I think it's gonna be a fun project. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on as far as, the suspension, engine mounting area, you know, we gotta make that stuff work, and we're gonna have to modify some mounts and stuff. And but honestly, it's gonna be fun. All right, let's show you guys kind of what we're working with here. So in its entirety, I mean, honestly, all we got to do is throw some wheels and tires back on this thing, and it is a roller. And we've had this thing rolling many times before, and having to move it around and whatnot. And we have tons and tons of spare wheels and tires, but none of them really want to hold air because they had been sitting outside for a long time. We're not going to even end up using those anyways because we have some ATC wheels and tires that we can use. So we'll end up having to build some adapters for it. As you can see, drivetrain is there, suspension is there. Inside the old cockpit, we got our steering wheel. Definitely got to change out that seat because my fat ass ain't fitting in that thing. We got shifting knob. We have foot controls, brake, and throttle, and a harness, which I think we're gonna switch that out too. Fuel tank. We have the wing, which hell yes, we're gonna leave that on there. All your little mounting plates for other, or mounting points for other types of panels. I would consider this a front axle. I don't know these cars very well, but yeah, the possibilities are endless. And now that we know that that thing fires, and now that we know that we can adjust out this and we can build out the mount for the engine on that, and that with the reverse box, we can throw down some different angles and whatnot. And we still have all this room to tuck stuff under if we need to, and put a sprocket in the center, and woo! Then the possibilities are pretty endless. And it's, what, December? Oh yeah, that's right, it's gonna be Christmas. Actually, it's already Christmas. Today is Christmas. This video is gonna come out on Christmas. Merry Christmas, yeah. Everybody.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. And a Happy New Year.
That's awesome. I just remember that. Yeah, it's early and we got time. I mean, that was one of the big reasons why Harry and I put it up on this workbench, is because we wanted to have easier access to things as we're starting to kind of mess around with it, especially the engine, because it gets heavy. And that's also why we had mentioned that ATC is not a candidate for restoration. I did actually, through Harry, he did some research. I did find out that those 185s, they are a little bit collectible, right?
Yeah, a little bit. It's more worth like the big reds and 70s.
Yeah, so they've got a little bit of collectability to them, but they're not the sought afters. And so I felt bad by taking another one off the road. But honestly, they're just, it's one of those ones where I literally had to stop myself for the longest time in even thinking about doing this to it. But there's so much that this needs, and with how much original parts are for these trikes, I mean, we would be getting into the thousands for probably just the plastics alone, and I do not want to invest that much money into it. And plus, we're going to reutilize a lot of the stuff from the chassis, the mounting points, this and that. And then down the road, once we utilize everything we need, Cecil is going to take the chassis or here in the shop, we haven't decided yet. We might keep it. We might give it to him. It is going to still get used. So we aren't going to waste any part of that ATC. For those of you who might be wondering or might say, oh my gosh. Oh my God. We're going to use it. Don't worry. Everything's going to be used. Matter of fact, in the process of taking everything apart, we actually found out that this tank that came off of it fits on this bike really well. And this is my 1982 Honda 500X. And this is not going to be a stock build. We are kind of building this into a scrambler bike. And I have a plastic kind of desert style tank for it. But we put that thing on there, which isn't even the right tank for a 185S, right?
Nope.
Nope. That one looks super cool on this bike. So we might end up just doing that instead of putting the plastic one back on. Because this bike's going to be built out. Kind of rat roddy, but also a little custom scrambler action. And the plastics that Harry threw against my Nash, those are actually, Those we're gonna probably try and utilize on our 125 ATC 70 shifter project, because this one we decided we're gonna do a little rat roddy build on too. It's gonna be mechanically just dialed in tight, but it's gonna have a little bit of a rat rod look to it. So as you can tell, we have plans for everything. We wanna get kind of more into the, you know, the funky, different, fun style builds. I mean, we have our all stock stuff. You know, we have our 1978 ATC 70 build that we did our very first video on. Our PW50 that's all stock. Our Trizinger is all stock. Like, we have plenty, like XR75s that are going to be all stock. CT70 all stock that we're going to be working on soon. But we want to branch off into things that kind of like challenge us a bit more in a way to where, like as if we aren't already challenged, right? Because how often do we have to walk away from projects and come back to them later?
Sometimes.
Okay, shut your face. I'm just kidding. He's right. So something like this is really going to test our abilities because of the fact that it is a shifter. I mean, we did do Ronda's motorcycle, which that in itself was huge, but it ran and it still runs and the thing is sick. And we got a lot of compliments at Wasteland for that thing. So for this, you know, we want to branch out and see what we can get going. So this is going to become a series. For now, we still need to pull the engine out of the ATC. So we're going to get to that before we start the series on this. So we're going to finish the ATC in this video, get the motor out, muffler, the rear driveline, all that stuff's coming out. And then we'll have all our parts together and kind of set up in a zone somewhere where it's like, here we go. This is all the fun stuff. And then we'll make it all happen, Captain. So now that I've talked your freaking faces off and you know that this isn't some crazy, I'm sorry because I like punched a kitten in the face type of thing, or that there's any controversy, now we can get to work. All right, and by get to work, I mean pack it all up, go home, come back a couple days later because we had holiday stuff to do, and then get back on it. Yeah, well, we were busy. Come on, it's Christmas. Today's Christmas. That's right. I keep remembering that. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Kiss my ass. Kiss his ass. Kiss your ass. Happy Hanukkah.
So we're gonna go ahead and pull the motor, rear axle, chain guard, all that good stuff, and get this to a point where we can put it in, actually, this side and put some wood down, maybe do a little mock-up. Just kind of see how she fits. We don't have to necessarily do anything in particular as far as mounting and all that. We just want to get it out of this, partially into that, and then call it good and enjoy the rest of the freaking holidays, people. So now, let's stop talking. Let's get to... Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, whatever. I don't. Yeah. I mean, I like Christmas school and all, but I'm not like. Oh, unless you want to hear me sing, or you want to hear Harry sing. Yeah, you don't want to hear him sing. So, all right, let's get to it. And in the beauty that is Redneck Intuition, there is 2 master links on this biscuit. So that just goes to show that this thing has been worked on before. I'm sure they probably either replaced a sprocket or maybe a front sprocket or something like that. But yeah, we're gonna at least pop one of those off and get this chain off, so. As funny. Some of you may see that little section and be like, what in the hell is taking them so long? But because Masterlings usually don't take that much time, but these ones were like fused on there, rust-wise, dirt and all that. So we had to kind of chip away at them a little bit before they came off. And even then, the plate is still on there really good, but Harry's gonna get it. So we're gonna get that little piece off and get that chain out and then move on to the next step. Yeah, she's still on there good. That one little plate right there does not want to come off. But it's fused pretty good, so we're gonna try and get it all cleaned off as best as possible. Because we want to be able to reuse stuff like that. Because it's still good, it's just dirty. So let's hope for the best at this point. Victory! Victory! That was seriously the hardest thing to get off of this pig so far. Jeez, here, let's see what those look like. Yeah, you can see they were just fused. And we can still, like I said, reuse this chain. I mean, honestly, we've repurposed so many chains just with the wire wheel over on our grinder setup over there. Harry's done some cleanups. I've done some cleanups on them and they work out and come out really nice. So probably end up doing the same on that one and reusing it just because it's not like we're going on high speed runs or anything. Well, maybe we will, but we don't need for it to be 100% perfect. So, yep. All right, next thing's next. I don't know. Probably looks like we have to take that rear sprocket off before we can get to the chain guard and the rear axle. So we're just gonna keep on keeping on and see what happens. What a pain in the butthole. Honda made it to where these bolts for the sprocket, you have to have a wrench on the back side, but there's like no access point. So obviously the axle was all, and probably the chain guard was all put together at the same time or something like that, and then slipped on. I don't know, it's kind of weird. So I'm assuming that at this point, I'm probably just going to take the try and take the whole rear axle and differential out and then try and get the chain guard separated from there after. I don't know. Here, let me show you what I'm talking about. So on this rear sprocket, even if you have the nuts loose, back there is a bolt that just moves along with it. But it is way back in there. Not way back, but it's back in there in an awkward place. So that's why I'm thinking that for this, we just need to go ahead and undo our brakes and just start taking the rear bolts off back here. So we'll just give it a shot, see what happens. I mean, that's all we can do is try, and if we fail, then we try something else. These bolts fighting us too. So, being that our number one focus is getting the motor out, I think what we're gonna do, just so we can keep things on track with at least that, is that we'll undo the muffler, get that off. We are going to undo all the motor mounts, and then we can at least slip that thing out. And maybe with the motor and the exhaust out, it'll make it a bit easier to get to the rear axle and stuff. That's not priority. I just thought that it was gonna be easier than it is. I'd rather, like I said, look at it with all this out, so that way I can kind of just eyeball it a bit better. But at least with the engine out, then we can go ahead and place it in that and get a good feel for it. So let's do exhaust. Then we'll get back to all this nonsense. And that's just part of learning, folks, as we all know. And in the ETM 540 Clubhouse, we do a lot of that because we have no idea what we're doing. No, I'm just kidding. We do a lot of research, but sometimes things don't always go as planned, but that's part of the learning process. And that's why we love this shop so much, because we can work on things like this and fail, but then come back to them later after rethinking a little bit. And this just happens to be our secondary, third, fourth, 15th dairy, 20th dairy. It's one of many projects that we get to do and have fun on. So, so let's get this exhaust off. Harry's got something to show us too. Boom! Little wire wheel action. She's good to go. We'll throw some grease on her in one of those little Tupperware bowls, and then voila! Sweet. All right, muffler off, gone, boom, done. Boom! Little two-piece. Actually, I can't see it because of your camouflage. Seriously, it blends in with your shorts. Here, put it on the ground right there. So that is your 1982 Honda 185S exhaust system. It's kind of interesting because, I mean, there is a full muffler, and then I'm sure because of California, this was added later, a spark arrestor, because it looks like it's got some pretty crude welds on it. But yeah, it's a freaking two-piece, or no, that looks pretty factory actually. Yeah, it's a two-piece exhaust system, which is interesting. I haven't, out of all of our exhausts that we have hanging, yeah, over there, we don't have one like this, which makes sense because we only have one of these style or model bikes. Yeah, kind of cool, but that's out, and that makes it a lot easier to get to a lot of that stuff when we get back to it. But for now, I think it's time that we get on just pulling motor mounts wherever we can, wherever we see bolts. We're just gonna start pulling them off and getting to the point of pulling this sucker out. And actually, I think it would be a good idea to pull that carb, and then that way the carb doesn't get in the way when we go to pull the motor. So onward and upward. Yeah! Woo! Telling myself that I need to bring the breaker bar here, and I keep forgetting, but we have one bolt left, and it is being a pig. So I'm gonna do the old makeshift breaker bar trick. And if you don't know this trick, I'm gonna show you how it's done right now. So the old breaker bar trick, if you don't have a breaker bar, is that you take your normal wrench, shove that pig on there, and then you use this one for more maximum you know what I mean. You can push on it harder. Oh, but this thing is severely on there. Ah, and there it goes. And I couldn't tell if that was actually it being stripped. Yes, it was it being stripped. This, of course, is going to be the biggest pain in the butt out of everything so far. So, we're going to try. Oh my God. Yeah, it's not working. We may have to cut this one off, which would suck. But it's better than wrestling it all day. Oh, all right, Harry, you go ahead and set that down somewhere. Okay, you hold down on the back. Oh my God. Oh. If anything, I just hope that it snaps. Yeah. Oh! Yes! Oh my goodness.
Woo!
That was ridiculous. But it came off.
Finally.
Yeah. And we had to do that to get these engine mounts out of the way.
Because we need those for... Yeah, over there.
And in order to get this engine out, these are in the way.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay. Sweet. Cut. Okay, so before we pull or we start setting up the stuff for mocking up, I just want to pick this up and make sure all the bolts are out, which they aren't. So it just is stuck in between the mounts right there, basically. Sweet. So I think all bolts are out, right? So what we're going to do actually is let's go ahead and there we go. Let's go ahead and take it out. So you keep staying on that side where you're at. You're good. And I got this up here. There you go. All right, pull it up. Boom. Sweet. Engine out. There is your bare bones 1982 185S engine all taken out. And I have it leaning up against the workbench just because it was about to tip over. But all working parts, all functional, everything's there, transmission is good. And then here's the bare bones chassis. And they actually, I think this was like either the first or second year that they went away from the uni chassis where it only had just like the one bar coming down. And this is the first time they actually started experimenting with like an actual rear chassis like that before they started doing suspension and all that good stuff. I mean, it freaking, you can tell because it weighs so much. And so, yeah, so now that all that is out, now it's gonna make it easier to get to the rest of this stuff. But we don't feel like we need to really film that for the sake of what we're doing right now. So now that we have all of that out of that, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna slide this out a little bit and probably slide this whole chassis over on the workbench so that way we can put down some wood right in that little zone and just do a quick little mock-up of that engine in that chassis before we do a full clean out and tune up of this pig. And actually Harry can also put the carburetor back on it. That way we keep all the pieces together. So, and just for reference, here's all the parts that we took off in order to accomplish this a little bit. Chain, carburetor, throttle, exhaust, mounting bolts, and then over here, I just realized we didn't put these away yet. That is your front sprocket cover, your front mounting bolts, and some tools because we did not put our tools away yet. Yay! Oh crap, and I just knocked the motor over. So yeah, we're going to put the parts that we don't need to use away in their in their spots, where they go. We're gonna do that, and then the other parts that we are gonna use, we're going to keep with that, and then move on. Yeah, I'm about to pass out. Woo! Woo. Oh my god, that thing is heavy.
Doesn't look that small anymore.
Well then. Yeah, it's alright, leave it just like that.
Might line up too.
It looks pretty good, actually. Well, that went way better than expected. And it's funny because once we pulled the engine out of the ATC, the engine looked really, really small and I was worried. But then once we put the engine in the sprint car, it just kind of like balanced out a little bit. I mean, tell you the truth, when it comes to these Honda engines, like a lot of these things were used as ranch vehicles. You have to remember that. Like people were hauling trailers and, you know, hooking up stuff to them, and they had enough torque to where they can get people around to move things, basically. I mean, I remember my grandpa, or someone's grandpa, an old guy. I remember an old guy using his to pull out tree trunks after they've kind of like, you know, dug them out a bit and whatnot. You know, they're just good engines altogether. But it looks badass. And it makes it to where I don't want to stop and I want to keep going. But for what's going to happen with this project is that now that we've got the key components that we need, it's going to become a series like what we did with the Wasteland motorcycle project for Rhonda. And, you know, I just want it to be something that we can take our time with, chop up. You guys can see kind of what goes into a build like this. And then we learn as you learn with us along the way. So in the meantime, let me show you what it looks like, because this is badass. And I know he's stoked on it too. And there she is, just sitting pretty. I mean, obviously we do need to reutilize some motor mounts, and we probably will just hack up some of the ones that are in here and put them in there, or we'll make our own and not sacrifice this chassis. We'll see what happens. But she sits in there nice. It is in the cockpit a little bit to where your leg is gonna have to go over it, but it's not terrible, especially for a bigger person who can stretch out a little bit more. I've seen other go-karts that are a hell of a lot worse, but it sits in there nice. The sprocket is pretty much almost completely lined up with this rear sprocket, and this one can be adjusted. But the thing of it is that we want to put a reverse box in it, possibly. I mean, I want to do it, but we need to just make sure it's doable. But now that I see how well this lines up, I was almost thinking we would have to put the reverse box under there. But now it looks like we can find a spot for it right here and just make it nice and easy. Yeah, and then, I mean, everything is all right there. All of the things that you need to be able to get to are just right where you need them. And then with the electronics and the kill switches and the lights and all that, we can just put right into that good old blank panel. Exhaust system, boom, get that out of the way. And we probably might just straight pipe it just to make it as loud as possible, because that's what Wasteland is all about. Yeah, so there you go. That is the start of what is to become the Wasteland Racer. And she looks good. I mean, from afar, look at that. Boom. Beautiful. Let's go from a different angle because she deserves to be seen. Oh, from the front, that just looks sick. So yeah, we're excited. Oh yeah, look at that. We got mounts right there. They can just be modify, boom, bam, boom. I like it. So with that, we're gonna end this sucker because we want to, well, we want to go home. It's Christmas. It's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
And when Santa squeezes his fat white ass down that chimney tonight, he's gonna find the jolliest bunch of assholes this side of the nut house.
So we want to go home, and we got ribeye steaks, boneless steaks waiting. We're gonna get right back onto this as soon as the holidays are over. Not New Year's, but as soon as Christmas is over, we want to jump right back on this thing. So what we're gonna do is, for now, we're just gonna leave this as a nice little teaser. We're super excited. We're glad it all worked out the way that it did. We're gonna go home for the day and go chill and watch movies and eat some good steak. So as usual, thank you all so much for joining us on another adventure as we get into more things, crazy, not so crazy, with just the mayhem that is the ETM Clubhouse. Make sure you tell your friends, subscribe, comment. There's been so much love. We're over like 400 subscribers, a lot of Wastelanders, a lot of other people interested in other projects like RT Bucket. We're gonna be getting on some of the other stuff really soon. The Nash and the Nissan Patrol are up next after we get this one done, because we need to get into our larger vehicles. Chrysler needs to get on out of here, and one of those is gonna come over here, and yeah, it's a whole story. Anyways, as usual, thank you guys so much for the support. We love you. We'll see you next year. We'll see you next year in 2024, baby. Yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much. Merry Christmas. We love you. We'll see you in the next